I always love reading this story about Jesus and the storm because I find myself in storms quite a lot. I don't know if you feel the same way. But we're living in a time where we've got more stuff than we've ever had. You know, we've got products coming out our ears. You get Radox to slow life down and Red Bull to keep life going. And all this stuff has not translated into us finding a sense of peace. We still haven't got there. So in our world, people struggle with depression. It seems like more than ever. We have anxiety attacks that can cripple us. We're afraid of all sorts of things. Maybe we're not stressed at the moment. Maybe you're not particularly stressed. But the peace that we're promised in God isn't just an absence of stress, like, oh, I think I can get through today. It's actually so much richer. It's a positive presence of wholeness. That's what he assures us of. And in the storm, you see this little interaction between Jesus and the disciples. The first thing the disciples do is what you and I do whenever things start to go a little bit wrong, which we say, God, don't you care? Jesus, don't you care that I'm about to drown? And of course, Jesus does care, and the very fact that he's there in the boat shows them that he cares, that God would even come into our world when he never had to, into a broken world, where he ended up being broken on the cross, in the midst, taking suffering right into his own flesh. That shows that he cares about suffering, that he isn't indifferent. But of course, we forget that often, don't we? And so we turn to him, we say, don't you care? And then listen to Jesus' question back to the disciples. He says, why are you afraid? Why are we afraid? What's the reason for that? I'm afraid, Lord, because I don't think this depression is ever going to end. Or maybe I'm afraid, Lord, because these anxiety attacks are crippling me. I can't seem to live my life properly. I'm afraid, Lord, that I'll always be alone. I'm afraid, Lord, that no one seems to know me. I'm afraid, Lord, that I might be about to lose my job. I'm afraid, Lord, that I'll never come to much in my life. Why are we afraid? That's what he asks us. And then the very next question is, don't you trust me? Do you still have no faith? Andy, after all these years we've been walking together, you still don't seem to trust me. What's going on there? And I have to remember who he is. And the fact that for Jesus isn't just a stress ball, that when life gets a little bit difficult, we can, give him a squeeze and we feel better. He's actually, the reason we can trust him is because he's bigger than the storm. He's more powerful than every storm that we will ever face, including the storm that you feel like you're in the middle of right now. Turn to him, tell him why we're afraid, and then let's remind ourselves who he is and why he can be trusted.